Welcome back to Luke's Properties YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to discuss if you can really start a rent-to-rent business with just £5,000. I get this question all the time. People always ask me, can you really start a rent-to-rent business with just £5,000? So I thought it'd be an opportunity to make a video and explain exactly how you can. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Luke. I started a rent-to-rent business 7 years ago with around £6,000 in savings. I turned that £6,000 into a multi-six-figure rent-to-rent business that I still run today. I use the profits from that business to buy a portfolio of buy-to-let properties, and nowadays I teach people how to do the same thing I did. So I know a thing or two, so let's talk about it. So £5,000 sounds like a small amount of money. It doesn't sound like enough to really get started in property. Growing up, we're taught the only way to get started in property is to buy a property, right? That's something that I thought for many years until I found rent to rent, and then I realized you could actually get started in property with just £5,000. You don't need £30,000, £60,000. You only need £5,000. Now that £5,000 is going to consist of 1 to 2 months rent to a landlord. You're also going to have to buy furniture, sometimes do a cosmetic refurbishment, which mainly consists of some painting, some decorating, mainly touching up and improving the perceived value of a property. You can then rent the property out for more than you're paying the landlord and make anywhere from £700 to £1,000 a month in profit from a single unit. Over the course of a year, that normally works out to be between £9,000 to £11,000. And if you've only invested £5,000, then you pretty much double your money in a year. And over a 3 to 5 year term, oftentimes you end up 10x in your money. There's not many other businesses where you can invest and make back 10 times what you put in over a 5-year period, which then becomes enough for you to start buying properties yourself. So your first rent to rent deal might cost you £1,000 to £1,500 in rent. You're then going to pay a deposit as well, which takes you to around £2,000 to £3,000 invested, and then you're going to spend around £2,000 on furniture. You may need to make some improvements to the property, mainly painting, decorating, and making the property more efficient, clean and homely, and altogether this normally costs around £5,000. My first rent to rent deal cost me around £3,500 to £4,000. It was in South Wales. It was a 6-bed townhouse. I rented it for around £1,200 a month with a deposit that was £2,400. Then I spent another £1,500, £1,600 on furniture from the charity shop, and then I re-rented the property out for a premium. And after all of my costs, I made around £900 in profit per month from that first rent to rent deal. And over the course of a year, that worked out to be around £11,000. And over 5 years, it worked out to be £54,000 from a £3,500 to £4,000 investment. Not bad, right? Now, not every deal will be like that, but the minimum I let my rent to rent students settle for is around £30,000 to £50,000 over 5 years. So if they're making £700 a month in profit, that should make around £9,000 for the year. And over 3 years, that works out to be around £27,000. And over 5 years, it works out to be £45,000. So again, there's not many businesses where you can turn £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 into £30,000, £40,000, £50,000 over a 5-year period. This is why I love rent to rent so much. So normally on average, 3 rent to rent deals make enough money for you to leave your 9 to 5. On average, my rent to rent deals make me around £900 per month, and 3 of those will make you £2,700 a month. But even if you're only making £700 a month per unit, 3 properties like that, and you'll be making £2,100 a month from your rent to rent portfolio, which is normally enough to replace most people's incomes. Most people are earning between £2,000 to £2,500 a month in the UK. So to make £2,100 from 3 rent to rent properties is pretty good. Bear in mind, you'll only be working 1 to 2 hours a day to keep those 3 properties tenanted and maintain them. Whereas if you're in a job, you're going to be working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week in most scenarios. So you can replace your 9 to 5 income with just 3 rent to rent deals. I actually have 1 rent to rent property that's a large block of 10 flats, and I make around £2,100 from that 1 rent to rent property. So in most cases, it takes 3 rent to rent deals to replace your 9 to 5 income. But in some cases, you can find a large HMO and that one deal can allow you to replace your 9 to 5. So there are those opportunities out there too. So contrary to what most people think, you don't need £50,000 to get started in property. You need 1 rent to rent deal, and that could cost you anywhere from £3,000 to £5,000. You don't need to save up £50,000 to get started. You need £3,000 to £5,000 you need to know how to do rent to rent, and you need to get one deal. That one deal can turn your small pot of £3,000 to £5,000 into 30, 40, 50,000 pounds. And every time you make £3,000 to £5,000 in profit, you can use that money to go and find another rent to rent property, and then your profit goes from £700 to £900 a month to £1,400 to £1,800 a month. And then you save for another 2 months and you've got £3,600 there. You use that money to go and take on another rent to rent, and so on and so on. My rent to rent success system is designed for people who want to get started in property with as little as £5,000. So if you only have that amount of money and you want to get started in property, then I have the perfect system for you and I can help you get started. Now here's an example of one of my most recent rent to rent properties. Here's the rent that I pay the landlord, which is £800, and here's the rent that I collect from the tenants, which works out to be £2,100. Now after I deduct the rent to the landlord, I'm left with £1,300. I then put aside around £400 to £500 for the running costs, gas, electric, water, Wi-Fi, etc. And I'm left with between £800 to £900 in profit from a property that I don't even own. And altogether, to get this rent to rent deal set up and making money, it only cost me 1 month's rent. I also paid a 2-week deposit and I spent around £2,000 on furniture. So altogether, this still cost me around £3,500, and it makes me on average around £800 to £900 per month in net profit, which works out to be £9,000 to £11,000 a year. And over the course of 5 years, that's going to work out to be around £45,000 to £54,000 in net profit from a property that I don't even own, and I only had to invest £3,500 into. I'm going to use that money to go and buy 2 more buy-to-let properties in my investment area. This is how you make money from properties you don't own, and then you can use that money to go and buy properties for yourself and build your own portfolio. These are the powers of rent to rent. So in answer to the video title, can you really start a rent to rent business with just £5,000? The answer is yes. My first deal cost me around £4,000. One of my most recent success students, Aman, she's just taken on a rent to rent deal that's going to make her around £700 to £800 per month in profit. It cost her around £3,000 to £4,000 to set up, and she's going to make around £9,000 a year from that house. So there really are opportunities out here, guys. You just have to know how to find them, what to say, how to say it, and how to position yourself, and how to communicate the value in the service to landlords. Now, if you need someone to help you get your first rent to rent deal, I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link. There'll be a chance for you to book in a call with me. On that call, we can work out if we're a good fit for each other and if I'd be a good mentor for you. If not, then keep watching my videos, try and learn as much as you can, and try and implement what's working for me and my success students. If you do that, then I'm sure you'll succeed. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.